Hey guys, just a reminder that the 2022 Small Town Monsters Kickstarter is happening right now. You can be a part of funding all 4 of our feature-length film productions that are coming out this year. You can get your name in the credits and all that stuff. You can also be a part of helping to fund all the amazing YouTube content we're putting out. The link is in the description. Hit the button, become a backer, be a part of Small Town Monsters.
This is Monsteropolis,
This is.
a show for you. Welcome back to Monsteropolis. I am the producer, showrunner, and now co-host of Monsteropolis, Andy Matsky. And I am joined by normal host, regular host, not weird at all host, Mark Matsky, my father.
Yeah.
We are 2 different people. We look so much alike. Leave your comments about how you think we look alike now.
Or not.
Or don't.
Be the first person to say they don't look alike at all.
If
What
you
are you talking
hey,
about?
Someone leave a comment down below and some with it says, if you think they look alike, like this. And then leave another comment that says, if you think they don't look alike, like that comment.
Right.
And we'll see who gets the most. And you'll win.
You'll be rewarded handsomely. Much as you were rewarded handsomely by backing the Kickstarter.
Yes. This is Kickstarter month. The Small Town Monsters 2022 Kickstarter is live right now. There's a link down in the description. Whether you are watching this on YouTube or if you are listening to this on your favorite podcatcher, there's a link in the description to our Kickstarter. And in that Kickstarter, you can back all of our 2022 projects that include On the Trail of UFOs, Night Visitors, American Werewolves, Bloodlines, The Jersey Devil Curse, and On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Last Frontier. You can back all of those projects and everything that goes on this channel. If you are a fan of what we do, back the Kickstarter. It's the biggest way you can financially support what we do. You can get great rewards like Blu-rays, like the ones I am holding up right now. Podcast listeners, I'm holding up 2 Blu-rays above my head.
I enjoy the quality of Blu-rays.
I do too. You can also get those from our store online afterwards, but
True.
you get them for cheaper, maybe. Squad members just got a big treat because I think a lot of that's going to be in Squad. So
Cool.
again, Squad. Squad up, y'all.
Squad up.
This episode of Monsteropolis. This episode is about Bigfoot in the great state of Idaho. And when you brought this up, it really caught my attention because, we were throwing out ideas for what these episodes could be.
Yeah.
And because Idaho is right near one of our favorite states, Washington. And like it goes, I don't think you can quite see it at home, but it goes Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. It's those 2 are on the coast, and then to their east is Idaho. And so in proximity to what we associate as probably being the squatchiest places on Earth.
It's too bad you can't do a reverb on that.
I will later.
Will you? Okay, good.
You guys are going to hate me. You're going to be glad I'm back over there next week.
It deserves that.
That and like Vancouver Island, which we're so close to Vancouver Island. I didn't realize when we were up there.
We could have gotten in a canoe and ended
Essentially,
up there.
It's like, I don't know. I was looking at it the other day.
That's
and
so
it was
torturous about the border closing stuff.
We saw it. We saw Vancouver
we
Island
did.
from Port Angeles.
I saw it from the plane.
You lucky son of a... I
Jumping
think
around
you and
like,
I would have been
whoa.
fine up there. Or I would have got sick too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was,
you were fine, which is hilarious.
You know that side of me, I suppose, that there was nothing that was going to deter me from seeing the Olympic Peninsula from the air. If I had to face like my worst fear, I was going to see
that
these
doesn't
things.
seem that bad. Now listen, I wasn't in that tiny little airplane.
It was all over the place. It was jumping.
Yeah.
But
see, I think I would have had faith
that,
in the pilot.
He was cool.
If he wasn't cool,
yeah.
I think I would have freaked out. But I think knowing if he was in control and he's fine with this, that I could find it in myself to be fine with it.
Yeah.
Wimps, Seth,
He did.
Aaron.
He was doing
losers.
his, he like talking to the tower or whoever was down there.
No one
and
was
then,
down there.
Then once I was over, it was just for show. He was just talking to no one. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. Breaker 19.
Yeah.
Winds out of the northwest.
Here we go. Oh my. Oh, just kidding, folks.
Should have gassed up. Oh well. Yeah, but I mean, once that part was done, he was just talking to us about the history of the area and stuff. It was fun. It was cool.
Anyways, Idaho is to the east.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, the thing that just occurred to me now as you were talking is that that western Idaho border is literally the border of Washington and Oregon together, and that stops on like a straight line. It's interesting. We are used to in the heart of the Midwest of these river-oriented state
These
borders,
winding rivers.
Yeah, and out there it's just a nice straight line across.
So, are there Bigfoot in Idaho?
Well, so it would seem. So it would seem. If the reporting of our hunting brethren is to be believed, then there are at least occasional hotspots in Idaho where Bigfoot can be sighted and experienced.
I completely forgot. I actually have 2 stories from
You
Idaho.
have 2?
Yeah.
All right. We're good. We're gold. So do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I have a story here from Idaho in the year 1902.
Excellent.
See, I went back in my I can't remember what this is from. I think it's from must be from Peter Burns' book. But I don't know, because it's not from Apes Among Us. So here's what it goes. Earlier in the next year, 1902, an unusual sighting of a club-wielding Bigfoot was made in rural Idaho. Its behavior, as described in the following newspaper report, was unusual too. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Father, and you, the listener. I don't think I ever actually read this report.
Oh.
I think I just saw Idaho, and in my research, my mad frenzy, I just went... So,
Hey,
let's
club
enjoy this
wielding, you
together.
have my full attention.
The residents of a little town of Chesterfield, located in an isolated portion of Bannock County, Idaho, are greatly excited over the appearance in that vicinity of an 8-foot, hair-covered human monster. He was first seen on January 14th when he appeared among a party of young people who were skating on the river near John Gooch's ranch. The creature showed fight and flourishing. The creature showed, yep, I'm reading it right, guys. It showed fight and flourishing a large club and uttered a series of yells, started to attack the skaters, who managed to reach their wagons and get away in safety. Measurements of the track showed the creature's feet to be 22 inches long and 7 inches broad, with the imprint of only 4 toes. Stockmen report having seen his tracks along the range west of the ringer. The people of the neighborhood, feeling unsafe while the creature is at large, have sent 20 men on its track to effect its capture. Yep, that's the story from 1902. That's again in Chesterfield in Bannock County.
That is the eastern part of the state. I just looked it up.
Thank you.
And in fact, it's not, as the bird flies, it's not that far from Yellowstone.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, I was reading Green's writings on the state of Idaho.
Oh.
The state of Idaho. And he talks about how it, like, you'd think it would be the western part of the state, but like that's where the desert is, if I remember right. And I think northern, you get into like mountains, but
Correct.
like that part there is desert.
Yeah, that's striking to me as a remembrance of Eastern Washington, the Yakima area and so forth, and east to where we were is just the polar opposite of temperate rainforest. And I could see how that would then just push eastward as well. But it's those mountains in the northern part, and that connects in that relatively small part going west to east. Then you have Montana next, and in close proximity to like Glacier National Park, for example.
Yeah. I think that's also where he's talking about that these are areas that don't get a lot of rainfall, which sort of breaks his sort of, I think, like theory. Where it's like the whole 10 inches of rain or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, what are you gonna do? But I think that's interesting because that Bigfoot has a club.
Yeah.
And I believe it was just on an episode. No, yeah, it was an episode of Lore You Know that's not out yet. My bad. I get confused, guys.
Okay.
The episode of Lore You Know with Beans Baxter that may come out this week.
Okay.
I don't understand. There's going to be an episode, or there has been an episode with Beans.
Yes.
Larry Beans Baxter. And he talks about how when all that Port Chatham stuff was going on, there was a report of a Bigfoot with a club or like with a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like all the details given. And he was talking about how, if he could go back, it's like, was Bigfoot just carrying a stick for like, or was it like a tool? Right. Appeared to be made. And I guess the same question could be asked of this. Is this a club that is just some big log that Bigfoot picked up one day on his strolls through the forest?
He brandished
to himself,
Did he brandish it?
That's the perfect size for a club. Or is this something that Bigfoot went out and made with possibly stone tools?
Oh, my.
We'll never know.
Yeah. Regardless, I think he brandished it.
Did he brandish it?
Yes.
Yeah. He started hitting people with it, and they ran off in their wagons.
Okay.
Hitch the horse, Nelly. Get in the wagon. Get off the ice. Run.
1902?
Yep.
Wow.
1902. Imagine
Yeah.
being in Idaho in 1902, thinking, it's been a long winter. Let's go ice skating on the river up here in county. And
Chesterfield.
Oh, yeah. Here in Chesterfield. It's been a long winter. Glad we worked that hard this summer, though. Well, we're ice skating. This sure is fun. Is that a giant 8-foot tall hairy ape with a club? Get the carriage ready. We got a fight on our hands, It really makes you think about what we take for granted these days.
Doesn't it, though?
Like being able to ice skate without fear of attack by a large-footed, 8-foot tall, hairy man thing.
Who vocalized.
Yeah, he was screaming. Maybe he just wanted to ice skate and he didn't know how to communicate his feelings well.
And
you ever thought about that?
The club was going to be like his skates or something.
Yeah. He's like, can you make this out of it? And then he slipped on the ice and whacked someone over the head with the club. See, it also...
And then cried out in pain.
Oh, I'll never be able to ice skate. Do you wonder if he actually hit anyone? Because it talks about how he was like wielding it around. But do you think that Bigfoot ever made contact with some Idaho? Wait, how do you say someone from I don't want to say Idahoan. But some Idaho.
I think that's what it is, though.
Do you think he made contact with some Idahoan?
Doesn't it seem like that would be in the report?
Like old Timmy Top Tip got
his noggin bashed in. It'd be...
Yeah. So that was my Idaho story.
I liked it.
Tell me yours. My first one. We can see which one we want to do at my other ones. But.
Well, as was the case in the previous episode, we're going from very old reports to fairly new. And so this one comes from August 2018. It's reported in the day Sasquatch became real for me. And it was relayed to the author by someone who was a wilderness guide. And most recently, August 2018, in remote Idaho mountains, guiding big game hunts via horse and mule. It was about 10 days before elk and deer season began. working with 2 other guides, packing camps. Arguably the most remote area in the lower 48 is where he was. That's the claim, yeah. The northeast edge of the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. That's something that I would like to Google at some point. The Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. So, at first, this the one person reporting this sighting sees something moving behind a tree to hide. He began eliminating animals that he knew were not down in front of them in the area where he was making this observation. His first thought was it was a bear. It would have had to have been climbing the tree because of how high up this dark figure was on the tree. And as the seconds passed, he writes, I became quite interested. I stood up. I expected to see something continue walking past that tree. Animals don't hide. Interesting thing for the guide to say.
The animals don't hide?
Well, evidently, if they see you, they'll run. But I think he's saying they don't, like, hide in plain sight behind a tree, typically.
Yeah.
I guess. But
don't go with this guy in the woods. No, there's no mountain lions around here. They don't hide. We'd see them coming.
So this is
got
why,
his club.
Yeah. Here's where it actually links to your story. He took a step toward the dark thing he saw. From behind us came a sound neither of us had ever heard. It could not have been more than 20 or 30 yards away. It was completely unnatural. It wasn't a whoop, scream, or whatever else noises people talk about. I've researched it all. It feels dumb to try and explain what the sound was that we heard. It was like a wood instrument mixed with a different language. It was within feet of us, but we couldn't see above the steep slope behind us. Neither of us had a weapon, not that it matters. As curious as I am about the topic, I had no inclination to stick around and see what was in store for us.
So what you're saying is that the club was not a club, but some kind of Sasquatch intimidation flute.
Yeah, if you can envision those wood train whistles that you can get.
Yeah, but that's what it was.
But it was
He carved
huge.
it. Yeah. And he can hit people with it. It just go, and he screams when he does it. So he's like,
That would be terrifying.
yeah, it's like intimidation flutes.
I'd be intimidated. by
Idaho
that.
Bigfoot intimidation flutes. The truth's unlocked.
Skinwalker colon.
Okay.
So yeah, I just in all my years, I've never come across that sort of description of a sound like a wood instrument mixed with a language. He felt strongly that they were trying to communicate.
So like some kind of
It says
didgeridoo.
Yeah. So it would seem. Turn around slowly.
Get out of my way. So.
And it says it was not exactly a threatening noise, but it did make them want to leave the area.
I've never heard that.
No, me either. That really grabbed my
I've
attention.
only heard it described as being like brass.
Mm-hmm. So there again, you have the situation of a wilderness guide out in what is purportedly one of the most wilderness areas in the lower 48 and seeing a creature attempting to not be seen, but then also either it or one of its partners makes a sound that is quite uncommon. I like that. I like that story a lot. Oh, that's the
map I talked about last week and never showed. But I love this. I love it very, very.
I've
very
come
much
into possession of a map.
And there's much more like that in this book. Like, I mean, there's
yes.
another map, but then there's also, I'm trying to find like a drawing or something. It's not working, guys. Looking's just not working right now. But my story. Are we ready for another one? Any more intimidation flute reflections?
No.
Reflections on the Sasquatch intimidation flute. A short pamphlet by Andy Matzke coming fall 2027. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's going to get delayed, guys.
Yeah,
I hate to break it to you
careful.
guys. Reflections on years of researching Sasquatch intimidation flute takes time. I have to start my research into the Sasquatch intimidation flute before I can reflect on it. So I'm giving myself a dozen years. So actually, look for it springtime 2034.
In a peer-reviewed journal.
Yep. Or in the Akron Beacon Journal.
Okay,
So-
Idaho.
Idaho. This comes from John Green. And John Green wrote, on June 27th, 1968, the Grangeville, Idaho County Free Press published a very interesting story written by Paul Keep. Keep, right? Keep.
That's how I would
Keep.
pronounce that, sure.
Here is part of what he had to say. French Creek, June 24th. A search and photography posse, which is the name of my new band, Search and Photography Posse. Anyways.
That's good.
Yeah. Look for that sometime summer 2072.
What genre would that be?
Its own thing. A search and photography posse is being organized here this week to scout the back country 20 miles east of Riggins for further evidence of the two large, hairy humanoid creatures who cut short the fishing excursion of a Council, Idaho logger at Streamside on French Creek about 2 p.m. Sunday, June 16th. In all likelihood, a representative of the Idaho Fish and Game Party will accompany the search party. These developments have come about as a consequence of the vivid report of Frank Bond, 35, hooker for the Rice Logging Company of Council, whose fishing trip up French Creek, quote-unquote, got shook up real bad when an obviously female creature about 7 feet tall and a companion creature at least a foot taller confronted Bond at a distance of not over 50 feet. Bond, according to a telephone conversation, or as I like to call them, conversations, I had with him last night, had just finished drinking at a spring about 3 miles upstream from the mouth of French Creek, and was turning back to fish when the creatures rose up from behind a huge rock at Streamside.
Yee.
I had a pretty big string of fish, said Bond, but what I did next was throw those fish at the creatures, turn around, and started running for all I was worth down the trail. In no time at all, it seems I had covered the half mile to the car where my fishing partner was waiting for me. I'm afraid I screamed at him, "Let's get the hell out of here." Bond's description of the creature resembles in many particulars the photographs and descriptions of Sasquatches, hair-covered humanoids, sometimes seen in California, Canada, and elsewhere in the Northwest, except with respect to their hair color. The reported Sasquatches thus far all have had black hair, whereas the all-over hair cover of the human-like giant seen by the Council logger was silver gray. They were beautiful, says Bond. I remember them that way even though I had only a short glimpse of them before I started running away. No one should harm them. Try to shoot them or anything like that, he continued. They made no move as if to harm me. I was simply startled and frightened. To the extent permitted by the circumstances, Bond's story is verified by Mike Burns of Riggins, who was sitting in his car when the running Frank Bond, his companion, arrived. I thought he was going to run right through the car, says Burns. And then it goes on to say, and I don't know if I made notes about it. I meant to. Oh yeah, I did. The photography posse went out, and they didn't find anything because they didn't go to the right spot.
Oh.
And then later, a trapper and the owner of the ranch that went out, and they went to the right spot, and they went bush by bush and looked through all the bushes, and they found hair.
Really?
And the hair wasn't like man, and it wasn't quite animal. And it sort of was the old, well, we don't have any Bigfoot hair to prove, like to put it by. So that's had characteristics of human and animal hair. And in the book, it sort of details that part of it looked like a man's would, and part of it looked like that of a beast. So what it quite may be still remains unknown. That's a quote from the story.
That's
from 1968.
That's how it wraps up.
Yeah. Remaineth unknown.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's my story from 1968, which I think is interesting because that's the same time as like that's the very beginnings of what we think of as the Bigfoot phenomenon in the Northwest and down to Northern California.
Right. And by then, there is a basis for comparison, like within what you read itself, saying it bears a resemblance to these Sasquatch creatures, except in color. I like the reaction of the person.
He thinks they're pretty.
Yeah. They're beautiful creatures.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well.
Oh, and by the way, that's the location of that French Creek. I looked it up, and it's western part of the state, kind of right near the border of Washington and Oregon in that same corner section.
It's cool.
Cool area. So what should we do?
I think we should call it there.
Okay.
Maybe
Idaho Bigfoot.
If you liked this and you stuck around this long, let us know down in the comments below. And you liked hearing us chat about Bigfoot once again, maybe we'll do it a little bit more.
I have an extremely good Idaho Bigfoot story that it pains me that we're not able to get to, but
Idaho Bigfoot Part 2.
Something to hang on to for the future.
We also did a little bit of research for what we like to call Bayou Bigfoot that we didn't even get to even touch upon. So, reflections on Bigfoot's intimidation flu. No, reflections on Bigfoot in Idaho and Montana. We'll sort of bring it all back to the episodes we've recorded
today.
The
big picture?
Yep, because it goes Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana.
Well, at the risk of being redundant, my reflection would be that we're talking about extremely unpopulated areas for the most part, and so we're relying on eyewitness testimony of people who typically spend a lot of time in these places recreationally. Either they live out there off by themselves, or they're hunters, they're wilderness guides, fishermen, etc. So they have a pretty good command of what to expect out in the woods, so that when they see something anomalous, it's worth noting. They know how to describe most of what they see. So when something's out of place, chances are they're not misidentifying something. So I find that pretty compelling, and I think that it is the hunters, the guides, the fishermen, trappers, etc., that you're going to find the majority of the cases are coming from them. Which is the thing that I like about that, I guess. What's enjoyable to me about that is that it's not unlike the 1902 and the late 1800s reports. It's the same sort of industrious sort of person, enterprising, adventuring soul that would be out there in the first place. The same type of people.
Yeah, it really... Were all the stories we talked about from like outdoorsmen?
Essentially, yeah. Except the trucker.
Yeah, except the trucker. So, yeah, that's really interesting. So it brings up the whole idea that, next time you, the listener, find yourself with a free day, not quite sure what to do, and you think, maybe I should head out there. Go. Get out from behind your computer or wherever you're listening to this. Stop listening to us. Go out or bring us with you on your MP3 player. Go out and investigate for yourself. You never know what you could find. could find Bigfoot, or you could find an intimidation flute out there in the woods.
Or a big bull elk.
Or a bull elk. You never know. You know, one thing all Bigfoot witnesses have in common is that they were outside. Or at least looking outside.
At least looking outside. Indeed.
So keep looking outside. Back to Kickstarter. Like, comment, share, review, 5 stars, or give us your honest feedback. Like it, comment, subscribe, follow us on Spotify. You can do that with podcasts. Don't know what it does, but do it. Send us mail, monsteropolismail, gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at STM_broadcasting_network. Find us on Facebook at STMBN. I think our Twitter is still Monsteropolis.
Yeah. Monsteropolis STM. The S at the end is the S of the STM. Easy.
Yeah.
It's just
Monsteropolis TM.
there it is.
Go out there. You never know what you could find. Except it's January. It's kind of cold. But go next time.
That'd be the time to go.
Yeah. They were not expecting anybody. Keep circulating the tapes.